Hello everyone. Welcome to the session today. In this today's topic, we are going to talk about the REST API basics for the data engineers. Right. So we are going to talk about REST API basics for the data engineers. For data engineers, you as a data engineer, you are going to interact with the applications via API. What is this API? Let us try to understand it first. So, for example, assume that there is kind of an application one, right? So this application one can interact with one more application, right? So usually the applications interact with one more applications via the API interfaces. So modern applications which you take nowadays, right? They communicate each other using these APIs only. Okay, they communicate with the API language, we call it as API is nothing but application programming interface. So via this interface, these applications, they are going to communicate with each other. So why as a data engineers we have to interact, we have to learn about these REST APIs, sir, if you ask me. So these APIs, you are going to extract the data. So for example, tomorrow you have a application is there. This application is exposing their data in the form of a API. If you wanted to pull the data, assume that this is your SaaS application, software as a service application. So you wanted to pull the data from the application, but they expose the data in the form of a API. You need to actually interact with the SaaS application via API only, extracting the data from the SaaS applications. Or if you wanted to load the data to some other applications, right? So you have to know the basics of how one can able to interact with these APIs, how to extract them, how to load the data, how to trigger your ETL jobs, how to all of these things, right? When it comes to the automation nowadays, every cloud service is getting automated with help of these APIs only. Okay, so that is where the importance of the REST APIs is very important for the data engineers to have some basic idea over this. So that's where I come up with this particular topic now. You can see modern applications communicate with each other using the API. API is nothing but application programming interface. As a data engineer, you are going to frequently work with the REST APIs to extract the data from the SaaS applications, or loading the data into the cloud platforms, or triggering a ETL jobs. You take any of the cloud service, they actually have a API. One can able to interact with that particular service via API also, so that you can automate most of the things. You can monitor the pipelines, access GCP services, integrate with the other third-party systems also. Some of the popular API services you might have known: Google Cloud APIs, Azure REST APIs, AWS API, Salesforce API, right? So there are different APIs are there. One can able to, our data engineers can able to interact with them, right? First of all, this is what is the main purpose of the REST API. Now let us try to understand what is actually the API, sir. First of all, sir, API is nothing but a application programming interface, is a set of rules that allows two applications to interact with each other, right? API call, we call it as API calls, nothing but it is a application programming interface, is a set of rules that allow you to, that allows two applications to communicate with each other. Think of API is like a waiter in the restaurant. Okay, so usually what happens, let me give you a simple example. Assume that assume that this is a restaurant. Okay, in a restaurant there will be a customer will come, right? So there will be a customer, the customer, he is a customer now, right? So now the customer will go to the waiter, right? So you will be having a waiter here. So this is a waiter, let us just say he wearing a cap, he is a waiter. So customer orders the product, right? So he wanted to eat biryani. So what customer do? Customer places an order through the waiter. Now the waiter goes to the kitchen, right? So you will be having a kitchen. So this is assume that this is a kitchen where the food is getting prepared, right? So now the waiter goes to the kitchen, bring the food and send it to the customer. right? So this is what is a entire call is going to happen in the real world. In the similar fashion, you will be having a client. A client send the request to the API. Now, what API will do? API will connect to the server. API will connect to the server and it will get the some kind of input or output from the server and it will send it to the client. So this is how. So what client will do? Client will create a request to the API. API will now interact with the server. Server gives you the output and the API will send the output to the client. So this is how the entire thing. So now API is an interface here. It's a bridge between the client and the server. It's a bridge between the client and server so that one can able to request anything so that it connects to the server, brings the output to it. So client sends a request, API forward that request to the server, and server process that information, and the API returns that response to the client. So that's what is going to happen. The same thing over here also I have mentioned. So customer, waiter, and kitchen. In the real world, you will have client, API, and server. So this is where client send a request. You as a person, as a client, send a request. API forwards the request to the server, and the server processes it, and the API returns the response. Right. So this is what is going to happen, guys. Now this is called as a API. It is a kind of a interface or kind of a set of rules so that a two application can interact with each other. Right? It's kind of an interface or a set of rules which will help the applications to communicate with each other. In the similar fashion, we also have one more thing that's nothing but REST. Let me going to tell you about the REST also. The REST stands for the representational state transfer. REST is nothing but a representational state transfer. What is this one? It is a kind of a style, guys. So it is an architectural style used to build your web services. Right, sir. It is an architectural style which is very useful to build the web services. So you have a API. On top of the API, you have a REST APIs, which it is one of the style which will help the clients to build the web services. And the REST APIs communicate using the HTTP protocols. So if one wanted to create any kind of a request, so that request will be go via HTTP protocols only because they are simple and they're lightweight, fast, and scalable and platform independent. I'll give you an example, don't worry. So I'm going to give you the example so that you will understand this API REST and all of those details. Just to give you a high level definitions, I'm just telling you. A simple REST API architecture, if you guys wanted to say, here it is. What usually happens is that in the REST API architecture, so this is what I told you, right? It is an architectural style to build your web applications or services. So you write a Python program and you send a HTTP request. So that request will go to the REST API server and it will connect it to something and it will give you the response as a JSON. Most of the time, the output for the APIs will be the JSON. Okay, so the applications actually interact with each other via API. The responses will be mostly in the form of a JavaScript object notation, nothing but JSON format. So that's what it is. Right, so there are different HTTP methods are there. Just let me tell you the HTTP method so that you guys can see. So REST APIs use different HTTP methods to perform the operations on resources. Okay, so whenever you are actually using any of the method to interact with your server, so these are the different methods are there. So according to your purpose, you have to choose your method so that will help you to interact with your server. For example, you wanted to read the data from some HTTP protocol, right? Some server is there, you wanted to interact and get the data, or you wanted to post the data, or you wanted to update some record, or you wanted to update a part of the record, right? So whatever you wanted to do, you have a separate HTTP methods are there, which will be very useful to perform operations on your resources. Okay, I'll give you an example. No worries, right? I'll give you an example. So, for example, if you guys wanted to, get a data from some, you have, for example, just think that, sir, you have some kind of a resource and you wanted to get the data of that particular resource. So for that one, you can use get. Get is to read the data from a resource. Similarly, you wanted to post, sir, I wanted to insert a new record or a new data into the resource. In that case, you can go for post. Okay, get is to read the data from it, and post is to insert new data into that particular resource. And put, if you guys wanted to update the entire entry in your resource, in that case you can go for put. Or if you wanted to update a part of the entry, I wanted to update a part of the entry or a record, in that case you can go for patch. Delete, if you wanted to delete the entire record, in that case we can go for the delete. So these are the different methods are there according to the purpose which you wanted to do it. According to the operation of it, you can able to select this method and you can interact with your resources. Okay, so whenever you are doing this interaction, you will be having a responses also. So whenever you are interacting with these resources, you will have a responses also. That is where, okay, sorry. So whenever an API responds, it sends the HTTP status code to the indicate the result of a request. For example, you are interacting with some resource via get or put or post or patch. So it will send the status code, right? It will result or it will respond with the status code. If the status code is 200, that means the response was okay. That means that it is successful. The interaction was successful. 201, the record was created. 204, no content. 400, it's a error, bad request, nothing but an error. 401, the access is not provided, unauthorized access. 403, it is forbidden. 404, not found. 429, too many requests. 50, internal server error. So these many different status codes are there. Whenever you are actually interacting with an API, right, you are going to get these status codes. If the status code 200 is nothing but your interaction is successful, your API call is successful. That's what it means. Okay, now so far we have seen the high level understanding of what is API, what is REST, the REST architecture, HTTP methods and their status codes. Right now, let us try to see with an example so that you can understand it. And one more important thing is that, so whenever an application is interacting with an applications, most of the applications exchange their data in the form of or most of the REST APIs exchange their data in the form of a JavaScript object notation. That's nothing but this one, JSON. So most of the REST APIs exchange their data with the help of in the form of a JavaScript object notation, nothing but JSON. Nothing but mostly it will be in the form of a dictionary format where ID and value, key and value pairs will be there. Okay, sir, now I wanted to work with the REST APIs. Sir, I wanted to work with the REST APIs using the Python. How do we do that? If you guys wanted to use Python, right, sir, I wanted to use Python and I wanted to interact with the REST APIs. So what we have to do? To do that, first, Python is providing you a library. It is providing you a request library. One must be installing that library first. Right? So that is, if one wanted to do that, first pip install request. So the request is a library. So request is a library. Python is providing you to work with the REST APIs. If one wanted to work with the REST APIs using the Python, they must install this request library. So first, let me gonna run it. You see it is getting installed. Once it is installed, now using the Python, you can able to interact with the APIs. Now, let's make our very first API request. Make your first get request. I wanted to get the data. For example, sir, I have one of the, let us just say, sir, I have one of the website is there. I'm going to go to this website. So in this website, So this is actually, so this is how you have to use. Now, so in this one, you see here, there is a users are there. We have 10 users, almost 10 user details are there. Sir, I wanted to get the data from these users. I wanted to get the data from the users. Right, sir? So get is one of the method to read the content from a application. Right? So for that one, I'm going to go here. First, we have to import the request library which you have installed. And then your URL is equals to, I'm going to say paste my URL here, and from this one I wanted to get the users data. You see you have a users here, so slash users, I'm going to use slash user. And now I wanted to get the response from this particular thing, request dot. So this is how you are going to make a API call, get from this URL. And if you wanted to print the response, you can say response dot status code and response dot text. So what is the status code? The moment you are requesting the moment you are making a API call, the get API call, you are getting you are reading the content from that particular URL. So what is the status code? Is it successful, or is it failed, or is it unauthorized? You are going to get the status code. And if the stated code is successful, you will see the output also, the text. You will see the output in the form of a text over here. So I'm going to say, see, I'm able to, you can go at the top of this one. You see status code is 200, meaning that it is successful. And you can see I'm able to print the data also from that particular URL. Okay, so this is how you have it. So this content you are printing in the form of a text format. Instead, sir, is it possible that I can able to read the data in the form of a JSON? I wanted to read the data in the form of a JSON, right? Read in the form of a JSON response. So how do we do that? So now you have a response here. Now you have a status code. What I will do, the data is equals to response dot JSON. Okay, you can print the data. You don't need to print the status code every time, as we already know that it will be successful. Sir, what I'm doing, I'm trying to convert my response into the JSON format. So I'm printing the JSON output over here. See, so this is how the entire data in the form of a JSON output. So this is how we can do. So one can able to make a get request, and you can also print the data in the form of a text file, or if you wanted to print the data print a status code also, you can do that. And if you want your output to be in the form of a JSON, you can also get the response in the form of a JSON using the response.json. That's also you can do. Okay, sir, from this one I wanted to get the, so this is giving you some kind of a output. Sir, I wanted to get only this guy. I wanted to get the name, right, sir? I wanted to get the name of a person. How can we do that, right? To do that, so maybe I'll just, if you see, how do you utilize your response? How best we are getting the output, how to utilize that output, right? So accessing the JSON data. We are going to access the JSON data. Now that I don't want the entire data, so you see here it is a list print of index 0. If I give, then that gives me the entire dictionary, and within that I will use name, right? So if you use name, this will give you this thing. See, so I can able to access any kind of a JSON output by using my Python skills. I can access any kind of a data from the JSON output. I have a response.json. From that, if I wanted to get an exclusive data out of it, we can access it also. Okay, no, sir, it may have a plenty of the users are there. It may have a plenty of the users. For example, here there's a one more user is there. Sir, I wanted to print all the usernames, right? I wanted to print all the usernames. To do that, what I can do, so I'm gonna copy this entire thing. I wanted to loop through the loop through response. I wanted to look through the response. So that here I have a data. Okay. For every user in data, print username. So I may be having, right, sir, for every user in data. So it is a list. Data is a list, guys. Within the list, you will be having multiple dictionary elements are there. Within the list, you may be having multiple dictionary element. So for every dictionary element, I wanted to print the name, right? So that you will get all the names. See, I'm able to print all the user names here. So one can able to loop through the responses also to get the required output out of the JSON response. That's also possible. Similarly, however you are doing it, so this is this particular website is not authorized. You don't need to you don't need to provide any kind of authorization details also, because this is a free website, and anyone public can able to access the entire data from the website. But usually in the companies, what happens is, whenever you guys wanted to, you know, get some kind of a data, or whenever you wanted to request the data from the URL, there are two things. You can send parameters, sending the parameters, and you can also, do interact with that. You can also provide headers also. Okay, sending the headers, right? First we will see the parameters, then we will see the headers also. So these you can, whenever you are actually getting the data, you can send the parameters also. Those parameters, with those parameters, you can get the JSON response output. For example, you are getting this data, right? So I'm going to copy this entire thing. So I'm copying this entire thing. Import request is fine. So what I want is that I wanted to send the parameters also. What are the parameters? I would say params is equals to I would like to mention user ID, for example, or you say just origin. So every person is actually coming from Indian origin only. Every person is actually Indian origin only. Okay, sir, but that particular origin is missing in the entire JSON response, which you wanted to send that as a parameter. So when you are actually getting the response, earlier when you are actually getting the response, so this is how every response looks like. ID, name, or username, but the origin is missing, which you wanted to send that parameter to that particular URL and get the JSON response. So to do that, you can say print data now. So what I'm trying to do, so while I'm, I created a params, nothing but any number of parameters that you can create it. So one of the parameter I've created a key value pair, that is origin, and the value is India. So while I'm making a request, in addition to the URL, I can also mention the params is equals to params. Params is equals to parameters. Now, if you run it, you will get this time ID, name, username. I think somewhere it should be. Somewhere it should be, guys. I'm not sure. Here it is. ID 2. Do you guys see somewhere? It's taking more time. Maybe let me just say user ID. I think user ID should come at the beginning of it. I think I'm going to go with user ID 1. When I run it, I'm printing it. What's the problem here? Response is equals to request dot get URL. Oh, sorry. URL. Okay, that's fine. I think users. I don't think it should be same, I guess. So the URL, when any URL you will go, you will use. See here, there is a post, right? So there is one of the post library, posts are there. If you go to this particular entire resources, one of the resources is a post, guys. So there are 100 posts are there. Whenever you are actually having it, see, wherever the user ID is equals to 1, you wanted to get that particular data only. You can see here is my user ID 1. Here is my user ID 1. So to get that particular data only I can go for this particular. It will not fetch the entire data, it will only fetch those things. Hmm, is it possible for me to copy the cell output? Yes, I can copy the cell output and I can go to here and paste it, and I'll use a plugin to format. Okay, why it's not formatting? Okay, let me just remove this list so that it will format properly. Plugins, JSON format. I don't know why it's not happening. Okay, you can see here, guys. Anyway, you see here user ID, and here also you have user ID 1, and here also you have user ID 1, and here also you have user ID 1. Wherever you see it's a user ID 1 only, because whenever you are actually getting the data, you are just printing the user ID. You are passing the parameter user ID 1. You wanted to get the data according to that user ID only, right? So that's where you are providing. So this is how. But when you actually look at this post resource, it is not only having the user ID 1, it is having the entire data also. But what you are trying to do, you are getting only the data from the user ID. So this is how, right? So you can see user ID 1 everywhere you are getting it. But if you actually look at the post, you will have a lot of data related to the user ID 2 also you have it. User ID 3 also you have it. But you have provided, it's more of a filtering out. It's more of a filtering out. So you provide a user ID 1. According to that, your response was filtered. Your response was filtered. So that's something that you can see. Okay, so that's how one can able to, you whenever you are requesting any kind of a data from any of the URL or a resource, you can provide the parameters to filter that particular thing. So that's something that you can see. So that's about the parameters. That's about the parameters. Okay, you can also post request. So far we are requesting we are getting the data from it. If you guys wanted to post the data also, sir, I wanted to create a new entry out of it. Sir, I wanted to create a new entry. I can also still do that. Import request. Okay, so payload payload is equals to, you can specify the payload, any payload you can specify. Sir, I'm going to say this is my payload. Payload meaning that the amount, the which data which you wanted to post, right? So then the record which you wanted to post it to your resource, right? Now I come here, I would say response is equals to request data. I'm using the request library. Post is my method to post the new entry into this particular resource. My resource is post is my resource, and post is the method here. This is a method, and this is my resource, and I'm posting this particular record. Okay, so is my record is successful or not? If I wanted to know, I can print the status code, response.status code and response.json, I would say. So when I run it, you should be able to see the response was 201. 200 is successful. You guys look at here, 201 is that nothing but, okay, so that record got created. 201 meaning that whenever you are using the post request, if you are seeing the 201, that is nothing but the record got created. So you see the record is created, and what is that record? You will be able to see it here. You will be able to see it here. So that's how one can able to post request. Also, you can get request and post request. You can do multiple requests. You can use multiple methods to interact with your resources. One is get, one more is post. Right, so we were talking about the parameters, right? In the similar fashion, we can also go with headers, sending headers also. Many APIs require headers, guys. Many APIs, whenever you are interacting with any API, most of the modern applications requires headers only. Those headers will have authorization details mainly. Okay, for example, you are interacting with some API, and that API require the API key to be provided as a authentication or authorization or bearer token for the authentication purpose. or OAuth or basic authentication details. You must provide these authentication details. Then only that API will react or respond.